Hello and welcome to another episode of the Expanse Abridged Podcast series. Today we've got chapter 23, which is a Holden chapter of the first book of the series, Leviathan Wakes. So, last time we saw Holden, he had told the boys to pack their bags and they were on their way to Eros. And they'd been chilling out with the big boy Fred at Tycho Station, playing poker, finding hookers and whatnot. And then Holden was like, no, I want to go do something, I'm bored. And he drags them all to Eros on a kind of a recover and retrieve mission. So they have to go pick up a guy called Lionel Polanski, who's an operative who it's like technically doesn't exist and has kind of said, I'm checked into a hotel, which means it's a OPA agent who's Fred has asked him to go pick up. And the last we saw of Miller, which was the last episode, which I know you would have listened to and adored and taken notes, but that was when he was at Eros. He's gone there and he's on his way to find James Holden and be like, where's Julie Mao? I keep thinking about her, I'm hallucinating. So, we join Holden, and he's walking through the casino level of Eros, and he says it's an all-out assault on the senses, and he hated it. Amos and Alex love it. They're like, are you kidding me? I wish we had more time here. They're saying how much money they made on Tycho, and they want to continue it, whilst Naomi and Holden absolutely despise the place. And they're kind of keeping their eye up, because the place they're going to pick up Lionel Polanski's in a rough neighbourhood. So they're all carrying guns. Amos keeps his hand on his at all time in his jacket pocket. Naomi refuses to carry it, while Holden is complaining that it's scratching him because he's kept it in his waistband of his underwear, like on his waist, and it keeps itching his balls, I suppose. And they kind of make it out of the 3 floors that make up the casino level, and Holden actually complains about the tube system. So it's on the first casino level, but doesn't start again until at the level above, so level 4, which is out the casino level. You could choose not to spend your money at the tables, but they made sure you were punished for doing so. So it's kind of like in a department store when the escalators are crossed rather than side by side. So if you do want to go back on yourself, like say you go down an escalator, you want to go back up, you have to walk through the shop. It's that kind of idea. They finally get on the tube. They're going to go down to the dodgy area they need to go to, when Amos comments that they're being followed, and he's followed us all the way through the casinos. And they describe this man, this geezer, as a belter. 50s or maybe 40s with a lot of mileage. White shirt, dark pants, goofy hat. Cop? Oh yeah, but no holster I can see. So that's our boy Miller. 50 years old, white shirt, dark pants, goofy hat. Because obviously he has his little pork pie hat, which he loves, his boiler hat. I think it's pork pie hat. But anyway, yeah, his silly hat, that's our boy. And Holden's like, nothing we're doing here is illegal. Like as far as people should know. Obviously, Naomi's like, what about our Martian warship that we call our home? And he's like, no, it's a perfectly legitimate gas freighter with perfectly legitimate paperwork, so it's fine. They're on the tube, and then the Colin kind of drifts away and looks on the tube and he sees adverts for Titan. And Titan, it comes up a few times, and that's where there's these great resorts that are kind of looking over, I think it's Jupiter or Saturn? No, I think it's Saturn, maybe. Anyway, a really great view is like these dome resorts, like an Eden Project type place. And he's fantasizing about staying there, lying on a hammock, sleeping late, because obviously he's all stressed now, that stuff's going on. And he says, hell, as long as he was fantasizing, he threw in Naomi, walking over to his hammock with a couple of fruity-looking drinks in her hands. She ruined it by talking. This is our stop, she said. So then they got off into the shithole. Holden's like, Amos, is our boy still there? It's this weird pork pie man who's following us. And he's like, yeah, he is. And it's definitely a tail. But there wasn't really any other reason to continue with what they're doing, because they can't really do anything about it, and they can't really be arrested for knocking on a door. And if someone had going to pop their ship, they would have said it way earlier on. So Amos starts whistling a tune to make sure everyone's nice and relaxed, but he stops the minute they see it's called a flop house, the place. So he stops then. It was dark and dingy, and exactly the sort of place where people got mugged or worse. So our boys arrive at the location, and it's a shithole. It says the lobby is mostly empty space with a pair of couches at one end, next to a table covered in magazines. A sleepy-looking older woman sat reading one. And there wasn't any check-in desk, just a big touchscreen terminal where people can pay. And the woman who sat there is described as greying hair, but good features and athletic build. That meant she was probably a prostitute reaching the end of her shelf life. At this point, Holden asks Amos about the tail. He's waiting outside somewhere. That's our boy Miller. So he hasn't followed them into the place yet. He's just watching. And Holden goes up to the machine. He's going to type in a message to go let Lionel Polanski, this person who's not real, that they're arrived, until he realises, there's no point, I'll just go knock on the door. There's no need to give them a heads up. As he goes to do it, he stops speaking. He says to his team, okay, he's still there. So he stops and he sees the woman who'd been sat down now has a gun to Alex's head. He hadn't heard her or seen her approach. You need to come down with me, walk down the stairwell slowly, stay 3 meters ahead of me. He asks if they're a cop. Holden asks if she's a cop. She's no, I'm the person with the gun, so do what I say. Amos pulls his out and says, mine's bigger. And the minute he pulls out his gun, half a dozen men and women armed with compact automatic weapons came into the room yelling at them to drop their guns. So what's happened is it's basically an ambush whereby the woman would just mug them and stuff or steal them or whatever, sell them into slavery. And then the minute Amos has a gun, they're kind of getting mugged by everybody. But all the automatic weapons and stuff, it means that they're pretty heavy duty they're packing. And then everyone starts shooting. So Holden... What the fuck did my voices make? Holden's... one of them starts shooting. Amos throws off to the floor. A line of bullets stitches across the chest of the woman who was next to Alex. She falls over. Holden grabs Naomi, pins her down to the floor, hides her. He's yelling ceasefire, but Amos is already shooting back. He's hit somebody, they're lying on the floor moaning. Holden starts reaching out, and he pulls out his gun, but he tears his underwear because he stuck it in too tight. And he rips his underwear as he pulls his gun out and starts trying to get some shots back. Alex is stuck in the middle of the room because obviously he'd been held hostage, and he's hiding behind his sofa. His face has gone white. He's got his pistol out, and his bullet holes are kind of forming all around his head. And he's shooting over blind and just yelling at the same time. Amos is moving around cover because obviously Amos is the yard boy. Because Alex, although he is ex-Navy, so is Holden, Alex was only really like a kind of a shuttle pilot, I think it was. While Amos is the yard man, so he's moving from cover to cover, shooting and dancing between all the incoming fire. As they're going through it, he yells out someone's trying to flank them, so go around the side. Holden sees them moving towards the point there, and he yells at Alex, try and get them. Alex can't hear him, and just as this person's about to move in, a pistol barks 3 times, and he takes out the flankers. Their tail with the goofy hat crouched by the door, a gun in his hand, the machine gun toting flankers lying still at his feet. And Holden yells, no one shoot the guy with the hat. The guy's probably a cop. Amos is like, he's probably a cop. Holden's like, I don't care, especially don't shoot him then. And Naomi at that point is just lying there with her arms overhead saying they all might be cops. But in reality, so Holden replies, cops don't carry small, easily concealable machine guns and ambush people from stairwells. They're called death squads. More pistols are firing in. There's like bullets going all over the floor. And then all of a sudden a door goes off. The door swings. I think they kind of leave all of a sudden, the ambush people. So there's half a dozen, and they reckon, I think it's like 3 or 4 have been killed. So like 2 have escaped. And I want to say, I think they're bugging out. They must have another exit somewhere. And he points Amos on the door. Holden rose from behind the now ruined check-in kiosk. And the entire thing is kind of ruined, the underlying stone showing through. And Holden's holding his gun up, barrel up, so pointing at the sky. Says the man in the hat stood, considering the corpse at his feet, and then looked up as Holden came near. Holden says, thanks, my name's Jim Holden. You are? The man didn't speak for a second. When he did, his voice was calm, almost weary. Cops will be here soon. I need to make a call or we're all going to jail. Aren't you the cops? Holden asked. The other man laughed. It was bitter, short sound, but with some real humour behind it. Apparently Holden had said something funny. Nope. Name's Miller. Chapter ends. Another short one, but it's exciting. Get a nice little gunfight. Bullets going everywhere, people hiding about. You can see the crew kind of reacting, and Amos just being loving for violence and always being ready for it. It's one of the big things of Amos. He both loves it and he is gagging for it all the time. And our boy Miller, he comes in and he saves the day. He walks in behind, pops the flankers, and is kind of like admires the bodies on the floor. So nice little chapter that, a bit of action, a bit more crew dynamics, and obviously Holden still developing his crush on Naomi. Yeah, another short one, following on from the shorter Miller one we had before. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed the action and the boys getting some stuff, and our first lines of dialogue between Miller and Holden, the partnership that'll last a very long time. So I hope you all enjoyed that, and I will see you next week.